Lotion on. Hi, how are you? Welcome in. Whether it's a good evening or good morning, good afternoon, welcome in, my lovelies. All right, so this is going to be watched more on replay than the live itself. Let me put this on live chat so I can see everybody. I'm putting my lotion in. It's a good evening or good morning, good afternoon.
Got a lot to share with you today.
Welcome in, my. Okay. Today we're going to Albuquerque, New Mexico, where, from all appearances, we have an elderly gentleman named General Major McCasland. Okay, he's with retired, I'll say retired, Air Force, Major General. You probably heard. But where I'm going with this isn't where you think we're going. This just is absolutely very, very alarming and more. I don't even know where to begin with this. So we're just going to try our best to make sense of what's going on. Let's start off by just welcoming you in, whether you're returning or you're new. Thank you for jumping in. I get right into it because there's so much information to deliver, and I do it and try to do it in a short amount of time. So let me just walk you through some of this, and then I can start showing you things. So he goes missing on February 27th. But on February 26th, we went to war with Iran. I'm like, that's weird. Okay. And it was just a couple weeks before, or the week before, I think 7 days before, that Trump's like, we're going to be talking and releasing all the we're going to declassify the UFO files. So that's all right there weird. And then I'm digging into it to find out what's going on. And this account on Twitter that matches everything to do with the missing General Major McCasland, William Neil McCasland, who has very high clearance, or at least he did. He has extreme knowledge of our entire military satellite system and all this kind of stuff. He worked for, okay, let me just read this. I told you. Okay, so this account on X, it isn't saying that it's his account, but the bio is matching everything in McCasland's resume. McCasland went missing on February 27th. This account has not posted since February 27th. Why is that important? Because that account states that a fellow, meaning somebody you're akin to, right? Somehow you are a colleague of a fellow general that was alleged to have self-deleted, did not do that. That he was murked, red-rummed, taken out. And then boom, McCasland's gone. Well, the reason was that this other general was taken out was allegedly because there was a group of very highly secretive group that's above our government, okay, had come to this general demanding nuclear secrets, and he refused to give them up. And that this, okay, so was he taken out because of that post saying, I believe this general, a fellow general, didn't self-delete, and that it's because he wouldn't give up these secret things? Is that why Casland's gone? Like, did he get wind of it and he leave to hide out? I don't know. This is just almost too much to break down. I'm going to try to bring this up to speed with where we're going. I know I probably didn't make any sense at all. And I know this video is being suppressed. Okay? So I still got to go with it. Still got to go with it. Even though I know it's not going to be allowed out there for many. Let's start off with who I'm talking about. So this is retired Air Force General Major William Neil McCasland. He went missing on the 27th of February, the day after we went to war with Iran. The day after. A week after Trump said that he was going to unclassify the UFO thing. Well, William Neil McCasland is definitely in the know of a lot of our UFO history because that's what he was in charge of. We don't know what he was wearing. Now, originally and for quite a while, they've been telling us that a pair of hiking boots was missing, but they found the only pair of shoes they thought were missing back at their cabin. So there's no shoes being reported missing. How'd he leave his house with no, I mean, he could leave his house with no shoes, but why would you in the dead of winter? He's a survival expert. He would know. He's a runner. He's trained. He's fit, and he's sharp as a tack. They're saying he has brain fog, but they are also saying he's clear as a tack. I don't know. Sharp as a tack, I should say. Jennyville says, I've been following this missing dude. Debbie Gazzardo said, this is fascinating. It gets scarier than fascinating. So, also, there were 3 people that knew about this special metallic alloy. And these 3 people are all right now gone. Let me explain. What he was doing is he was involved with making and creating, and okay, so this is what I'm saying. There's so much to this. A patent became developed that allows an alloy, a metal alloy, to be used in weapons and aircraft in extreme temperatures, and the metal sustains itself. The patent person is Risa. Risa disappeared. She was a colleague working under the same funding and underneath this missing general. They're both space aeronaut, whatever you call it. I don't even know all the technical stuff. And their specialties are these creation of patents for this metal. All right. He has all our satellite knowledge of when the satellites were getting built, and it deals strictly with missiles as well. The patent that his colleague Risa was working on before her bizarre disappearance, just 9 months prior to his disappearance, she had patented that special kind of metal. That was her baby, and so forth. The other person I said, there were 3 that knew about this special metal that works with missiles. Keep in mind, Casland is missing, and at the same time he goes missing, this other account, this X account that has the same bio matching McCasland's whole career, which I'm going to show you all this, is saying that the guy that allegedly self-deleted himself, the general, which I've got him and his name and all that he self-deleted, saying he didn't self-delete, that there was this elite group of people that demanded the nuclear secrets. So is that the patent back over here? I don't know. But he didn't give them, and so he was taken and deleted. Well, not taken, but deleted. And that X account that matches McCasland, who is missing, made a post in September of this year alleging that he felt that he was killed. Now, if we go back, I said there were 3. That's not the third one. That general, that's something different. But it's still connected because it's all about this missile thing. And keep in mind, we're at war with Iran and da-da-da. We've got World War III going on. All right, so now we go back over here. The woman that created the medal, she goes missing under the most bizarre circumstance. They're hiking. And she's a little ways away from the guide that is hired. She is a client of his. And he alleges he told her to stay to the right. Stay to the right on the hiking trip. He yells this to her to stay to the right, and she waves an acknowledgement to stay to the right. He goes just a few feet, a few seconds later, he turns around. She's gone, never to be heard from again, never found. Over 9 months before McCasland, her colleague that oversaw her entire thing. Okay. I feel like I didn't make any sense. Somebody tell me if that made any sense at all. I can tell. I've got 67 viewers. YouTube's like, well, you can put the video out, but we're not going to share it with anybody. So, yeah. I'm going to have to take the word. Let's change this. Let me do something real quick. I'm going to go over. And if I take the word Air Force out, I bet it goes a lot better. So that more people see this. I'm telling you. Okay, we got to take the word Air Force out in like 12 places. So just give me a minute. I'm going to fix this because I want people to see the video. Right now, 60. All right, right there, I already took, and we just made a jump. We're being suppressed because this information is not something that they want us to necessarily talk about. Okay. I got a few more places, but just remember when we're in live, things happen. Okay, let's take out the word Air Force. All right. Maybe I should even stop saying the word. Okay. And it won't save. That's wild. It's freezing. See, YouTube's having a problem with me talking about this. Okay, that one worked. Let me go back up and try to change this one. Okay, that one worked. Okay, let me take it out of this one. Yeah, we're coming up in views as I take the word out. Oh, I missed one. And it won't save this one. You feel me? Like, I know that we are definitely censored. It won't save it. Hey, Jennyville. The chat keeps switching from all to top on its own. It's annoying. Yeah, they've been covering this up forever, Linda says, yeah. Hi, Storm. How are you? I'm waiting on this to save, but it won't. All right. Leave it be then. All right. So let me go over. Let's try to make sense of this. So like I said, the man is missing. He was involved with overseeing the stuff that allegedly happened at Roswell, and then all the debris got taken to that Air Force base that he was overseeing. What was that Air Force base? Let me go back up here. This is probably the worst video I've ever done because I'm all over the place because it's so confusing. All right. So this is what I got from our UFOs because he oversaw this. So let me get the actual Air Force base. Aerospace R&D, so research and development. That's what his female colleague named, I don't want to misquote her name. Do they not say her name? Monica Reza. Monica Reza. All right. If you followed our investigation of Major General William Neil McCasland, the Ghost General, you know he commanded the Air Force Research Laboratory from 2011 to 2013, overseeing $4.4 billion in the most sensitive aerospace R&D in the country. While pulling the funding chain on his portfolio, we found Monica Jacinto Reza. She co-invented Bernalillo, the super alloy inside next generation American rocket engines. Her work was directly funded by AFRL. Her mentor, Dallas Hardwick, was a senior citizen scientist at AFRL under McCasland's command. All three were the same program at the same time, and they were the only three that understood this super alloy that is so valuable because it can be used in nuclear devices. All right. The guy, Dallas Hardwick, dies from cancer in 2014. Reza, the female, so one's down, two still know about the alloy. Reza vanishes from the ridgeline in the Angelinas National Forest in June of 2025. McCasland, the last one to know about it, the guy that I'm talking about that's missing, he vanishes in the Sandy Foothills in February of 2026, this past February. The complete human knowledge chain behind a strategy national security technology is literally severed. So I am praying that McCasland is safe, that he is on his own somewhere hiding, because if he had put the dots together, wait a minute, this general that I know is in the know about nuclear stuff and he was taken out, and my colleague is in the know about this, she's taken out, I'm the only one with this knowledge, I better leave. I'm praying that he was able to get to safety. However, there's the other side of the coin. His pew-pew is missing. No shoes are missing. It makes me feel like he got a hold of the pew-pew because he felt like he needed self-protection in his own home. And there's nothing, like there's no trace of him leaving the home. They're like he left on foot simply because they don't have a vehicle missing. However, we don't know if he left on foot or was thrown in a vehicle. There's no footage being talked about. Nothing. How, it's kind of like that moment in Sebastian Rogers' case where you're like, how could he have left the home and nobody see? But in Sebastian Rogers' case, it is pitch black at night. Cameras aren't going to pick it up. This is very early in the morning, in the middle of the broad daylight, and there's no trace of how he left his home. Okay, hold on. Let me go back over and start over here. This is just wild to me. Retired U.S. Air Force Major General missing for weeks. What we know. Authorities are conducting. Okay, why does it do that? I'm telling you, this is weird. Authorities in New Mexico are conducting an extensive, you don't have it. I just noticed y'all don't have the website, so just a minute. This is weird, like my buttons are moving around. Hold on. We're going to get it one way or another. Authorities in New Mexico are conducting an extensive search for retired U.S. Air Force General who disappeared from his home nearly 3 weeks ago. Retired Major General William Neil McCasland, 68, was last seen on the morning of February 27th, I might add the day after the Iran war started, at his residence in Albuquerque, New Mexico, the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office said in a statement. His wife reported him missing later that day after returning home from a medical appointment to find he was gone, leaving behind his phone, his prescription glasses, and his Apple Watch. It says other personal items, but his watch, and might I add, all of his shoes are accounted for. Following McCasland's disappearance, local authorities issued a silver alert, which is an advisory for a missing person who is 50 or older and has an irreversible deterioration of intellect faculties, which they're saying he didn't really have that problem, so I'm not sure. But according to the New Mexico Department of Public Safety, the sheriff's office initially reported that the alert was issued from McCasland because of unspecified medical issues. During a news conference on March 16th, the sheriff's office said the silver alert remains in effect and has been issued because McCasland previously reported that he was experiencing some mental fog. But Lieutenant Kyle Woods of the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office underscored the investigators do not believe McCasland was cognitively impaired at the time of his disappearance. There's no indication, and we are not putting forward that Mr. McCasland was disorientated, confused. Arguably, he would be the most intelligent person in the room that any of us would be in. Highly intelligent, highly capable, but that information was given us early on, and out of abundance of caution, we escalated to a silver alert to try to garner as much public attention as possible to try to help locate him as soon as possible. The sheriff's office said there were still no confirmed sightings of McCasland and reiterated that there is currently no evidence of foul play. The case remains an active missing person investigation. As we get into the timeline of William McCasland's disappearance, we have, and it's always so weird. Let me just go back up here. And I'm not throwing shade at nobody. I'm just saying the same as with his, with Riza. She was with a hired guide. Okay? And she disappeared on his watch. He's a guide. He's supposed to at least keep his people close by. I'm not saying he did it, but he got extremely involved in, media, social media after her disappearance to a level of obsession into Riza's case, alleging he was trying to just keep the truth out there. But it's also a narrator, controlling narrative, and so forth. All right, so that's alleged. Now, right before McCasland disappears, a repairman interacted with him. They don't tell us anything about that repairman. They don't tell us what he said, how the exchange went, nothing. And it says that this repairman interacted with McCasland at his home at around 10 a.m. on February 27th, according to a timeline released by the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office. McCasland's wife, Susan McCasland Wilkerson, left for a medical appointment around 11:10 a.m. and returned shortly after noon to find him gone, the sheriff's office said. He left behind his phone, prescription glasses, and wearable devices at the residence. After attempting to contact family and friends, McCasland Wilkerson, the wife, reported him missing at about 3:07 p.m., and the investigation began immediately, according to the sheriff's office. Investigators later determined several items appeared to be missing from the residence. Now here it says including his hiking boots, but that's not true now. They found the hiking boots at his cabin, so those were the only shoes to be reported missing, and now they have found those shoes. However, his wallet's missing, probably because it was in his back pocket, right? But the only other items is a red backpack, they're saying, and that may have been found up in the cabin, I believe. But for sure, a .38 caliber revolver with a leather holster, said the sheriff's office. Investigators believe he may be wearing a light green long sleeve outdoor shirt at the time of his disappearance, which it's confusing, but they're saying they may have found something similar. A U.S. Air Force sweatshirt was discovered about a mile quarter east of the home and prompted additional search efforts in that area. Authorities said the sweatshirt has not been confirmed to belong to McCasland, and the initial testing revealed no blood. The Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office said investigators have conducted extensive search operations, including drones, helicopters, canine teams, and volunteer search crews. One moment, please. So, they have searched and there is no camera footage. They're asking for camera footage. If you know of anything, maybe you have a Tesla and you were driving and you saw him and it's recorded. I don't know. They're asking residents and local businesses to review security camera footage from February 27th and February 28th, particularly from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on February 27th, and submit any possible sightings. They are also asking hikers and others who were in the Sandia foothills during the time of the review GoPro or cell phone records that might have captured McCasland. And anyone who believes they see McCasland is urged to call 911 immediately, authorities said. The FBI's Albuquerque field office is assisting in the investigation, though the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office remains the lead. All right. This gets wild. Let me come up for air for just a minute. Where is he missing from? Albuquerque, New Mexico. I can't talk. All right, no way to track him, right? Love and light for all. So let's get into this a little bit further. What? I was in this. Okay, so this is his colleague that went missing 9 months earlier. And this is strange because it's called the green burial, which means she passed away and they have her body. You can't have a green burial without her body. However, she was only missing 4 days and they were still looking for her body when they have this green burial post with an obituary. So nobody's getting that. It doesn't make sense. So the wave. On June 22nd of 2025, a 6-year-old woman waved at her hiking companion on the ridgeline in the Angeles National Forest. She was 30 feet behind him, bright red shirt, green hiking pants, clear weather, a route she hiked every week. So this is a habitual hiker, meaning she forms a habit and takes the same path every week. Not a good thing if somebody wanted to lie in wait. Okay? That wave is the last confirmed contact anyone had with Monica Reza. Every news outlet that covered this story ran the same framing: missing hiker, rugged terrain, please check your cameras, standard template. What none of them reported is who she actually was. Reza co-invented Bernalillo, a family of nickel-based superalloys now built into the engines, replacing Russian-made rockets for American national security launches. She held the patent She spent decades as a technical fellow at Aerojet Rocketdyne, the highest technical rank in the company. An associate fellow of the American Institute of Aeronauts and Astronauts. At some point after 2023, she moved from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Sorry guys, I had a moment. That matters because of what happened 8 months later. On February 27th of 2026, retired Major General William, and I'm just saying, this gets weird. Retired Major General William Neil McCasland walks out of his Albuquerque home and into the Sandia mountain foothills, left his phone, his glasses, and his wearable devices such as his Apple Watch. He took a pew-pew and his wallet. He has not been seen since. Remember, no shoes are missing either. In the Ghost Journal, we map McCasland's career. He commanded the Air Force Research Laboratory from 2011 to 2013, overseeing the $4.4 billion portfolio that funded the most sensitive aerospace research in this country. That portfolio funded Monica Riz's work. Her alloy is in the engines his budget was actively funding and building. We did not expect the General's Trail to lead here, they say. The sweet spot. American rocket designers had a problem for decades. The Soviets could build oxygen-rich stage combustion engines. We couldn't. Not because we didn't understand the physics, because we couldn't find a metal that survived the environment. So they could build something super hot that could get them really far, but they didn't have a container for it that wasn't going to melt, right? Picture the inside of a rocket pre-burner. High pressure, gas, oxygen, superheated, slamming through components at force that would vaporize ordinary steel. The metals strong enough to hold that pressure were the metals that caught fire in the oxygen. The metals that didn't catch fire were too weak to hold anything. Every alloy was a trade-off that lost on one side or the other. In the mid-1990s, at the Rockwell Science Center in California, a metallurgist named Dallas Hardwick, remember he dies of cancer, and Monica, Dallas Hardwick was a female because it says, and her research assistant, Monica. So Dallas was a female, dies of cancer. Well, anyway, before she dies, Dallas and Monica crack it. They found a nickel-based composition that could sit in the inferno without igniting and without cracking. No coating, no liners, bare metal touching gas oxygen at extreme temperatures. They called the alloy Monday, I'm just going to call it that, Bernalillo. The name is a portmanteau, the Mon belonging to Monica. In 1999, the Air Force Research Laboratory started putting money in NASA. Followed, the lab scale alloy became two production variants, Bernalillo 100 and Bernalillo 200. Different chemicals for heat. Okay, you can cast it. We get it. Let's go on. In December of 2017, Space News profiled her. The headline, what is Bernalillo and why should you care? And here's why you should care. The AR-1 engine in Aerojet Rocketdyne's replacement for the Russians' RD-180 that launches America's national security satellites. 12 components inside that engine are Bernalillo. Preburners, turbine rotors, turbine housing, duct and lines, and hot gas manifolds, every part that touches the fire. So the patent is published. She gets acclimates. Her and her mentor, Hardwick, later moved to the AFRL in Ohio, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. By 2005, she's leading all material research for advanced gas turbine engines. And the AFRL Materials Directorate was the government half of the Mandalay Partnership. Reza built the alloy at Aerojet Rocketdyne. Hardwick's team qualified at Wright-Patterson. 2 women, 2 institutions, 1 program. When McCasland, the guy that's missing, took command of the AFRL in May of 2011, Hardwick was still there. Reza's contracts were still active. All 3 of them were on the same program at the same time. In 2012, Hardwick retires after stage 4 cancer diagnosis. She continued mentoring through the AFRL program. She died on January 5th, 2014. Now, after her death, Reza said publicly, "I hope she understood that my accomplishments and successes are in large part due to her." Now, nobody outside that propulsion world knew her name. That was fine. She made the metal that made the engines work. Now, we can get into her disappearance, which is weird. Like, he turns around, she's gone, and then it's like 1,000 feet from there, they find her hat going down a ridge. And it goes into how this guide, he had given it up, saying he told her to stay right. And then when the search teams are going to the right to look for her, he starts having a fit, trying to steer them away from it. Don't go look that way, go look this way. It's kind of sus. It's really sus. But what's more interesting is that as we start understanding this has to do with rockets and missiles and so forth, she's one of those that know all about the satellites. She knows about the metal. She knows about the inner workings of missiles. We're at war. She goes missing, and when we aren't at war, she goes missing before that. So here's the thing. Let's leave Reza for a minute and talk about this. So this is reported by U.S. News, right? There's a possible ex-account of missing General William McCasland, claimed federal general, was murdered over nuclear material. Okay? I'm just saying. Online sleuths think they have uncovered missing retired Air Force General William Neil McCasland's anonymous social media account, which claimed another general was murdered for his dealings with nuclear material. McCasland, 68, went missing from his Albuquerque, New Mexico home on February 27th, which is the same day that the person behind the conspicuously credentialed X account, centered a spacecraft and advanced science, made their last post. The account, and it lists the account, claims to be run by a retired 38-year active duty United States Air Force with a PhD in engineering, listing the Air Force Institution of Technology, AFIT, the Air Education Training Command, AETC, and Air Force Material Command, AETC, as places they've worked. This matches with McCasland, all right? Both the AFIT and the AFMC are located at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. which McCasland ran from 2011 to 2013. He attended the Air War College during his 34-year career, which is a subordinate of the AETC. McCasland attained a PhD in astronautical engineering from MIT in 1988. So everything's matching up. The account shockingly claimed just months before McCasland's disappearance that Major General John Rossi, who allegedly committed self-deletion in 2016, was actually murdered because of a refusal to hand over nuclear material to private contractors. So let's go over. I went over on Twitter and I followed the links to get onto this person's account. And it does indeed say everything like that. Electric propulsive spacecraft and spacecraft system manufacturing, experienced retired 38-year active duty USAF PhD engineer. It says it all. This account was started in November of 2022. 11/2022. How interesting. It's following 540 people or accounts, and it's got 12.3 following now. I don't know what it was before this broke. Now, this was pinned comment, and it's about propulsion, okay, and hummingbird and so forth. But as we go down here, the non-pinned comment, the one that would be last, is right here. And indeed, it's the same date, February 27th, that this man goes missing. His last post, this person, which looks a lot like him, says high voltage gap, geometrically placed, allowing sustained dwell time in gap. It was just like all his other posts, but it's the last one, and it coincides with him being missing. Now, let's go down to this post. Now, this post on his account, if you scroll, you'll find this post quite a while ago. And this again is that alleged anonymous or hidden account by McCasland. It says, staged investigation Army report, self-doubt and sleep deprivation led to 2-star general self-deletion. 2-star had self-doubt question. Military brother. Do you believe that? General Rossi was a good friend, and in my opinion, he did not self-delete. I believe General Rossi was killed because of an incident reported to the Pentagon, IG, that he would not transfer nuclear weapons to private hands, just months prior to an attempt nuclear weapons theft from Fort Sill. General Rossi knew DOE takes all custody of nuclear weapons, not private contractors. Then there's this link, and it's right to this entire report. Army report, self-doubt and sleep deprivation led to 2-stars self-deletion. And it goes on to say Major General John Rossi was 2 days away from pinning on a 3rd star and taking the reins of the U.S. Army Space and Missile Defense Command last summer when he hanged himself. Army investigators ruled his July 31st death as a self-deletion and attributed the tragedy to a wave of career and medical stress that impaired his judgment and distorted his sense of self-worth, coming to a head that last week in July, according to a 15-6 investigation release on Wednesday. Quote, they ultimately overwhelmed his psychological defenses in the ability to cope with the negative emotions resulting in his decision to self-delete during the last period of the time in which he was likely to be alone before assuming command of the SMDC, according to the report. The findings have prompted an Army-wide review of mental health issues in the General Office corps to be headed up by a 3-star Army Secretary. Eric Fanning told Army Times in January 4th interview. It's not because we felt we had something burgeoning epidemic problem, he said. It's because one of too many, and it's always good to take a knee, take a breath, and see if there's something new that has developed because something's changed. That review will also look at a number of high-profile misconduct cases that have plagued the Army top ranks in recent years, including 30 reports of general wrongdoing and 7 of sexual misconduct, inappropriate relations, or sexual harassment. Okay, so Army officials say Rossi was not suspected or accused of any misconduct, but they're going to do an entire sweep and investigate everybody. All right, let me put it this way. The thing is here, if he really did, McCasland, have a secret account, that's why I said, Lord help us, we're in trouble. No cameras, wife doctor visit not confirmed, and she left after that person that was supposedly a contractor arrived. That contractor got there at 10:30. She was there, church train coming through. There's something very weird about this. All right, listen. That's why I said, did he know all this and be like, I'm next? They've taken out everybody else, and I'm next, so I got to get the hell out of Dodge. Why wouldn't he wear shoes? Why didn't he have shoes on? It almost makes me feel, because there's no reported shoes missing, that he felt like he needed to get his pew-pew, because the billfold's the other thing going. That's the only other thing that's missing, is the billfold, which is going to be in his back pocket, and this 38. So if he's in his home in sock feet and he hears something, or somebody makes a sound, could he have got the pew-pew out for self-defense? And then, was there a sign of struggle? We never hear. This is just too much. Rue 360, a woman Neil worked with, was on the recent hike with the man and said, and she disappeared. Yeah, we just covered that, lovely. We just covered that. That's Monica Reza. You might be late in joining. That's right. True train. Body found in Jimmy Gracie. Thank you, Brian. We know. I'm not covering that case, and I'm so sorry to his family that he has been recovered that way. I'm sure there is foul play. John Bono says contractor, yep, and he could also be planted. And so could that guide that is saying that Reza disappeared. I don't believe he unalived himself at all. I really don't. I feel he whistleblowed under an anonymous account, and somehow it tracked back to him, and he got worried that others knew that he knew. So let's talk about this. Rossi self-deletes, no, when he knows all the missile secrets, the nuclear stuff, and he won't give it up to a private company. He self-deletes. When he's about to be pinned a 3-star general, I don't buy that. Bullshit. So then, before that, let me just check. Let me see if it was before. I want to see. Okay. July 31st. When was Resi? June 22nd. Okay, it's too much. Resi goes missing on June 22nd, 2025. On June 22nd. Rozzy, the guy that allegedly self-deleted, July 31st. That's 5 weeks apart. So Resi goes missing, and she knows Casland. She's worked for Casland, same funding. That's her colleague. She deals with missiles. She deals with this monalloy, right? This new alloy, metal alloy. She's the patent. She's the one. Now, they don't have to worry if they're bad guys. They're not going to get anything out of the other person because she passed away from cancer. So I'm not saying that's connected. But after that, we've got Resi going away, just poof, gone in June. And then in July, Rozzy, so Resi is in June. Rozzy, the guy that self-deletes, is July. And then less than 8 months later, McCasland disappears too. You guys, this video needs to get out there. We have 97 people. That's it. So much for, being able to speak the truth on the channel, right? Army nurses here. No major media coverage on this bizarre tale. Weird and dangerous. I know, Army nurse. I've been nervous all day. This is just wild. I hope he got wind of it and he left. But with no shoes missing? I'm like, are you kidding me? Lesky says, no way. They worked too hard for the star. That's right. Channels keep getting deleted. Okay, let's not even talk about that. There are people that will do anything they want as they are even over the president. All right, you guys, this is up to you to get it out there because YouTube's not going to. I mean that. This needs to be seen. We're going to do a reading. I'm going to pull some cards. If that's not your thing, that's fine. Skip this next step. But for us that would like to tap in and understand, and Jesus is my Savior, He's the only one that I talk to. I'm not pulling source from nobody but Jesus. And if Jesus don't want to talk to me, then the cards won't make no sense. That's my final I had to see what Lucky's doing. He's like making a new bed right under the desk. That's my final word. So if you're worried that I might be getting whatever, Jesus is more powerful than anybody. So don't fret. All right, my lovelies, say a prayer for this guy because if he is in hiding, he needs our help. And if he is in jeopardy, he needs our help. Okay? So with that, say a prayer for McCasland and that he is safe. I will see you again very soon. If you're jumping over and continuing with me, I greatly appreciate that. And I love you all, whether you're jumping with me or not, to the moon and back. Love you. Bye for now.
The dust I was born, to the dirt I shall return. When my eyes are closed, in the shadows, my enemies will think they won, but I am here to stay. Destiny will overcome, no, I am not afraid. Like a phoenix in the night, my soul will rise. From the darkness to the light, I feel alive. I'm a fire, burning bright, I'll never die. Like a phoenix.